Hi, FlossTube. Welcome back to Threads and Tales with Sarah. This is my 8th YouTube that I have totally been avoiding making. So thank you for your patience. My hair is just never done, or my house is never quiet, or the lighting isn't right, or I don't want to stop stitching. So finally I decided you're gonna get what you're gonna get. And I am so excited to update you about what's been going on since my last video. So today I'm just going to enter photos in here as they edit, because if I waited to go get all of the things that I've worked on, we would never make this video. So I'm going to talk about what I've been up to in October as well as part of September since the last time I posted. And it's all going to be stitching related until the very end. So I will give you a little bit of a preview. I made a major milestone goal in my personal life, and I'm going to celebrate and chat about that with you guys. So if you are uncomfortable with discussing weight or have maybe some sensitive body image issues, things like that, that will be something that I'm going to talk about. Feel free to skip that, but there will be a giveaway. So you can skip it and still comment, and that's totally fine. Anyway, let's get into it. So in October and September, I participated in the Myth and Magic Discord stitching game. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons meets cross stitch, I guess, where you are on a team with a few other people, which is a clan, and you stitch to earn ingredients to make spells and attacks and healing things, to then go up against other teams who were doing the same thing. And in this case, we had a rumble, which was like the last man standing. So September was spent with my clan is the witches. September was spent incubating, purchasing, incubating, and training our dragon, which we did, and thank you to the lovely help of other people who were not on our team to help us get that done before the rumble. So we did train our dragon, Binks. And then we went up against everybody, and actually for our first thing we've ever done, we did manage to take second place, and I'm so excited for us because we stitched our fingers off to do that. And I can't wait for next year. So if you're interested in Myth and Magic, or you're maybe curious about it and want to join, there's a Discord server where you can jump in there and read the rules and kind of check out the posts and see what it's all about. For me, gamifying stitching is very exciting. It's very challenging. Apparently I'm competitive. Didn't know that about my Hufflepuff self. I turned into a little bit of a Slytherin. But it's a very fun way to motivate yourself to stitch a lot with other people who are doing the same thing. So I did Myth and Magic. As such, I worked on a lot of projects. I think what I'll do is at the very end of this video, like I have been doing, I'll just do a slideshow of all of the whips that I've been working on. But I handled a lot of my projects, and that was very fun, actually. I spent a lot of time stitching on my friend's bunny, which was the Innocent Dreams is the name of the piece. Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along for 2025. She had sent it to me to be babysat for a little bit, and I managed to put in almost 30,000 stitches. I think I got it in the beginning of September, and I just sent it back to her almost a week ago. I think it's arriving at her house today. So that took a lot of my time, and with many challenges. When you're doing a tent stitch, it counts as half of a stitch technically, because you're only passing through the fabric, the one time, versus a cross stitch where you're passing through twice. So I stitched a lot on that one. I also worked on, I started the Trick or Treat fairy, that Mirabilia. She's super cute. And then I had to frog all 300 stitches I had put into her last night because I realized I made a mistake pretty early on and it wasn't really fudgeable. So I pulled it all out and I started her in a new colorway. She's charted in like browns and beiges, which is very pretty, but I had been thinking about it, and so I decided to restart her with a variegated blackish gray and a couple of shades of purple for her dress. So you'll see that at the end with the photos, because again, I'm just gonna make the video and talk to the people, and it is what it is. So hopefully you can stitch along as I yap at you. So yeah, I started her, and then I started Absolute Insanity, and I am so excited about it. It is not cross stitch, it's black work. I came across a post in the Cross Stitch Society Discord where somebody had shared a stitch along by Urban Stitches, and it is the Starry Night stitch along. It is magnificent and completely insane. I decided to jump in. They are 6 months into this 2-year stitch along. Every week, I think every 4th week is an off week, but basically every week the designer emails you a 30 by 30 block of the pattern, and you stitch along with everyone else. So I have some catching up to do because they just started week 34. I made it through week 1 of this because I just really wanted to kind of get the hang of it and get it down. And then I counted down to where they're at week 34 so I can catch up and try to keep up, which will remain to be seen because it takes all of my focus right now, all of my concentration. I think my strategy right now is to take a 10 by 10 block and do one at a time for those. So then I've got that 30 by 30 block, and that's actually, so far, that's been my jam. So I'm not super far into that. I've done all of week 1, which is a 30 by 30 block, and then I've done 1.5 10 by 10 squares of the week 34. So I'll show that at the end. It's beautiful. It's very challenging. It's unlike anything I've ever stitched before, and I cannot wait to see how it turns out. I'm stitching that on a 14 count easy grid. I did pick that because I wanted to use Aida, but I didn't want the super cardboard stiff Aida. So this one has like a metallic fishing wire pre-gridded into it. So I was able to soak it and wash it with some Dawn dish soap and soften it up quite a lot. Actually, it's pretty nice to work with now. So yeah, so I started Starry Night. Neither of these 2 projects, Bunny or Starry Night, were conducive to being super competitive. So I did rotate some of my normal cross stitch projects in so I could get more stitches just for volume. Yeah, it was a very stitch focused month. This was my highest stitch month the entire year so far. And I've only really been tracking since like April, but I can tell you this is the most time I have spent on this craft this month. So I also went to Loveland. We stayed in Longmont in Colorado with one of my dearest friends. We had ourselves our own little bestie stitching retreat. We went up to Denver on Friday, had dinner, took our time. It was wonderful. We went to Clothes Mentor, which is like a women's consignment store. And I found some new jeans. I found some cute shirts. And then we went and stayed at our hotel. Saturday, we spent, I'd say most of the day, at least half of the day, at Colorado Cross Stitcher up in Loveland. And if you haven't been there, it's really a very nice store. The layout is super open and well lit. I like how she has a wall of floss. Like, it's very visually appealing to be able to just look at all of the colors, and whether you're looking for something specific off of a pattern or you're just like, wow, I like that shade of grayish black. I like that shade of purple. You can just snag it right off the wall. So I actually feel pretty good. Knock on something. I feel pretty good about my stash right now. I like the patterns that I have. I have more than I can possibly keep up with, and I'm really looking forward to starting them. So I didn't actually do much shopping, but my bestie did. She spent the entire time shopping and making color conversions and coming over and saying, okay, if I do this, what do you think about these colors? All the creative juices were flowing. I stitched the whole time. We made some lovely friends. We just had ourselves a whole day of stitching. It was beautiful and was wonderful. We went to Sushi Box for dinner at the recommendation of of those new friends, and it was outstanding. It was so good. The owner hugged every single family that walked through the door, so you can tell that it is a local gem. And I would really like to go up there again. It seems like Longmont might be like a crafter's town. We drove by several quilt stores, and I don't know if it was just on my mind and so I saw it more, but it seemed like you don't usually drive down Main Street and see stores advertising for Baby Lock and Bernina and Brother and, you know, all of these big name sewing brands down the street. I don't quilt. Actually, my mom's coming to visit soon, about a week and a half, and she's going to teach me and the girls how to sew because I don't know how to sew. If I can't do it by hand, I don't really know how to do it. And I'm really excited to learn about it. Although I'm not planning to jump into another craft, it would be nice to know how to make a project roll or a project bag even. I mean, if I get that fancy at it, or a grime guard, like it would be neat to know how to sew, how to hem, you know, the little girls dress up costumes, things like that. Make some pillowcases for my white pillows that are slowly becoming less white because children and life. I told you I was just going to ramble at you, so I hope you're stitching along and not getting confused. So we went to Longmont and spent the day in Loveland on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I slept in. It was glorious. And she woke up early and went to a scrap store. And then we had ourselves a nice little lunch and headed home. So that was a wonderful way to spend a weekend with one of my very favorite people doing my very favorite hobby. I didn't get a whole lot of stash. I did, it's over there, but I did get some floss that I needed. I made a big decision to start kitting up a new chatelaine. To kit this project up is going to be, well, if you buy it as listed, it's going to be around $400. And y'all, I just can't. I can, but I can't. Like, come on. So I started kitting up some of the NPI silks that were called for, and we spent a little bit of time converting some of them into DMC, and some of them I was like, there's not really an equivalent. We looked at the variegated hand cotton dyed ones, and you know, if there wasn't an equivalent, I got the NPI. But if there was, I was like, these are fine as DMC. You get a $5 skein of floss that has 0 variegation in it versus a 70-cent skein of DMC that is just fine. Having stitched a chatelaine, I know that the variegation really does bring the piece to life, but those ones that are not variegated at all, like, you're not gonna know. I'm sorry if I'm committing some kind of cross-stitch sin here, but sometimes I feel we get a little bit big for our britches, and I'm like, this is a massive piece. I don't need to spend that much on some of the elements. Anyway, I decided to start kitting it up, and I don't know when I'll start it. It'll be probably next year sometime. I'll probably order the bead pack off of European Cross Stitch because I don't want to fuss with that. I just want it to be what it needs to be. And then I will grab the floss for the part that I'm working on as I'm working on it. So right now I'm kitting up the center. Interesting, Colorado Cross Stitcher did not carry dinky dyes, any Rainbow Gallery, Petite Treasure Braid. I don't even think she had Krynic. So they don't feature those things. She did have the Glorianas I was looking for. She did not have the Karen Water Lilies. She did have NPI. She had I think it's Soie de Vie, the French one. She had that one. But no beads, no sparkle flosses, no glow flosses, no things like that. So I appreciate how she's curated that to be the more common materials. Like, you're going to find what you need 100%, especially if you're open to converting into what works for you. But it takes out some of the clutter, the visual clutter, which can be very overwhelming when you go into a stitching store. When the patterns are so tightly jammed in there that you really can't like sift through them and see what you're looking for. And in this case, the stitching shop in Denver is like, it's about an hour, maybe just a little over an hour south. And so if you do need beads and you do need sparkles and you do need these other materials, you have another option. So I like that they both really do have things they do very well. And I do like the stitching area. I like that it's this big, long table, and it's just very welcoming. She's got a little coffee corner, and she was very helpful. Everything that we needed to find, we found. Besides those very specific things, but in that case, I know that I'm looking for something incredibly specific. And so I'm just gonna have to get what that is anyway. You can't really convert a water lilies. They're so variegated and they're so particular. So I will grab those things eventually. It's not high on my priority list. I'm starting to kind of stash those things together. I've never kitted a project like that. I've always just kind of dove into the deep end. But knowing that one up there that you can't quite see took me so long to stitch, I feel very comfortable just kitting up what I need as I need it, because I'm not going to blow through that project in the next year. That particular project, it is the Hawaiian Garden Mandala, I believe. It's massive. It is a masterpiece. I mean, it really takes chatelaines to a whole other level. And it's going to take me quite a long time to stitch. So whenever I finally start it. ADHD girl today. Let's see. I sent home the bunny. I am actually 95% on board with doing the 2026 Haid Stitch Along. Participating in the way of helping my friend do hers was more fun than I thought it would be. I never really jumped into the world of full coverage, but I got into a groove with it and it was very satisfying to work on. So the designer is posting I think there's 9 or 12 designs that are available for next year's Stitch Along. And she'll be posting those on November 1st. She's been uncovering them over the last couple of weeks, so you can kind of see your best guess of what a picture is going to be. And there are 2 that have my eye right now. There's one that is very pretty. It's dandelions, and then we call them wish flowers. Those are I think the official flower or something of the military child, which I was and I had. And so it's very pretty. It's very wistful. It's very whimsical. It's very pretty. It's a lot of white. So I have to really think about, do I want to stitch that much white? And maybe it's not quite as much white, but it's going to be lots of shades of white. And then the other one is this ship that looks kind of like an oil painting to me. But it's an old-fashioned ship on the ocean, kind of being blown about in a storm. And that one reminds me of my favorite song, which is The River by Garth Brooks. So for some reason, it just kind of spoke to me. Now, a friend of mine did mention she thinks the ship may be on fire, but it's still kind of covered up. So if that's the case, that won't be the winner for me because that's not really the vibe I was going for. But it remains to be seen, and I'm planning on stitching it into 2026. If you don't know about the Haid Stitch Along, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but they will release 9 or 12 designs that you can choose from. And then you purchase the design and kit it up yourself. And then you start January 1st, and the pattern is released to you in chunks, I think. I don't know if it's 4 throughout the year or 3 throughout the year, but you're not given the entire pattern at the beginning. You're given a big part of it. And I think for this year, if you stitched 6 full pages, then you got all of the files of the Stitch Along. So you chose one of the 12 to stitch for yourself, and if you stitch 6 full pages, then you get all 12 patterns for free. Well, I guess you bought the one. And then if you finish the whole thing by December 31st, I guess, of the same year, then I think you get to pick a Haid off of the website. I'm not 100% on these details. That is my understanding of it. That is why my friend who was humming along all year long, trying to finish her bunny by the end of the year, with that goal in mind, life kind of happened for her and it got a little bit complex, and she was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And I was like, send him my way. Let's get you to your goal. Which we're being ambiguous about it because we don't know if that affects the rules. And if for some reason she gets a slap on the wrist, like, friend, I will just buy you a pattern off of the Haid website because you deserve a medal for what you've gone through this year. Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing the Haid Stitch Along in 2026. I actually do. I have a little list. I have a little scribbly list here. Plans for November. So I've been thinking about this for November, December, and next year. Like what's kind of coming up, especially now that I'm getting a little more involved with the community. And I really like hearing about other people's plans and their approach to their main project or their massive amount of projects or just things they're excited about. And it's really fun to jump in there and share what my plans are too, because I didn't used to have plans. I used to just stitch whatever. This is making me become a more involved stitcher. So thank you for providing that opportunity for me. So I'm calling it Neglected November. And essentially I made a list of all of the projects I have not touched in at least 6 months. Let me go back one page. I think I have 20 projects that I have not worked on in 6 months. There's a little wiggle room there because a lot of these projects are actually from Mania, and I started them in May. Maybe I started it May 20th or so, so it's not quite 6 months. But essentially, I haven't seen these guys in 6 months, and so I am going to work on every single one of these projects between now and the end of November. I do have goals to finish some of them. I'll get there. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, Neglected November is going to be visiting everybody, all of the ones I haven't seen in quite a while. I only actually have 2 more projects left for WIPGO, which are Cinderella, which is Quaker Fantasies by Ori TM, and then I think Winter Cometh, whose designer I don't remember right now. Nope, don't remember. It's very pretty. Should be pretty easy to do. So that's November's plans. And then December's plans, I was chatting with my little stitchy group last night. We have formed a Facebook group of stitching friends and we just chat nonstop every day, all day long. And they were talking about the Advent calendars and Advent boxes and different little ways that you can celebrate Advent in a stitchy way. And I, again, thought, man, I'm happy with my stash right now. I have more fabric than I have room to store in the way that I have my stuff set up. I have the floss that I need. I have projects that make me very happy started, and I have several projects that I really am looking forward to starting. I don't need anything. I don't want an unknown box of stuff. I do have 2 Wicked boxes coming, but that's Wicked. So what I'm going to do is take all of my winter and Christmas themed whips. Remember, I do store them in plastic folders, and I'm gonna have my kids wrap them up for me. I have 7 winter and Christmas themed whips, and then I'll take 5 more either whips or new starts, because I never did start all my empty folders in October because Myth and Magic, which will give me a total of 12 projects, and I'll have my kids wrap them, and then each day, probably for the first 12 days of December. If not, maybe I'll skip a day here or there. But by Christmas, I will have opened and worked on 12 projects. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be kind of fun. It'll be fun to unwrap something, even if it's something I already know, once I open it, I already know what's in there. That's okay. Like it's a gift. So that's my December plan. And then that last week of December, I heard that the Haid Stitch Along was released a little early last year. Kind of hoping it's released a little early so I can work on it while the kids are out of school and we're not doing carpool and having our normal, chaotic, crazy life. Last are the plans for 2026. I'm jumping on board with my lovely friend Becca from Wisteria Stitches and many, many others who are doing 26 finishes for 2026. As of right now, I have 42 whips. I put my whole spreadsheet together last night and I didn't write that one down. I have about 40 projects going. I have definitely planned at least 5 starts for next year, to include the Haid Stitch Along. Lola Crow, the designer, said that she would be releasing a Stitch Along in the spring. I have every intention of doing that because she's brilliant. Frogwarts Year 7, of course, and I'll cry when it's done. The Downton Abbey retreat stitch along. And then if I can, the Starry Night one, because it's scheduled to be finished in the end of December next year. If I can catch up and keep up, that is definitely on the goal list. But I did make a list last night of the 26 projects that I would like to finish in 2026. I decided to go with projects I've already started or know that I will be starting, as opposed to like picking new things up and finishing them next year. If I do, so be it. It counts toward it. That's totally fine. But as of right now, I am really excited about this list. I'm a pen and paper lady. I'm really excited about this list because there are a lot of things in here that I just can't wait to see. Some highlights are my Ink Circles New Orleans. I'm actually going to New Orleans in April. My alumni choir that we have scrapped together, we are going to New Orleans to sing in April. So if you're in the area and you'd like to listen to a lovely choir sing some fun songs and beautiful songs, please let me know and I'll let you know the information and the details for those dates. There will be free concerts, free performances wherever we are. Essentially, it's my high school choir teacher who I've known most of my life. I've been singing with him since second grade. When he retired a couple of years ago, the people who were able to attend his retirement ceremony convinced him and swindled him into taking as many alumni as wanted to go on a tour. And because he would take the older classes on an international tour, they went every 3 years. So we pulled his arm and he took us to Portugal and Spain, and we got to sing in beautiful castles and cathedrals, and it was incredible. And we decided to keep it going. So some of the students and I say students, they're all as old as I am. No one's in high school currently. I think we had people from 1989, class of 89, maybe 91, through class of 2019 or class of 2021. We had a range of kids, right? It's because we're his children. We all had to really force ourselves to call him by his first name and not, Mr. A, because you can't be like drinking your sangria calling somebody by their last name. So we are now going to New Orleans next year, and we have virtual rehearsals once a month. We have our music, we have track recordings and things to practice with, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be involved in music and a choir and a group like that. So I have this New Orleans project that I purchased in Metairie when I went to New Orleans in 2019. So it's currently my oldest whip. I'm about 60% of the way through, and it really won't take a whole lot. It'll take a week of focus and it'll be done. So that is one of them. I do want to finish I Am a Custodian, which is the Downton Abbey retreat piece. I'd like to finish that up by the time the retreat starts. Some others I'd like to finish that you have seen. That Winter Cometh one. My Autumn Year in Chalk. I have the whole series stitched except for Autumn, and I started that like 9 years ago. So it's really time to finish it up. And I'm going to try to finish it by summer so I can have it framed for next fall. I've got a couple of small ones in here. I've got my Brooks books, Gretel, the Gingerbread Angel, a couple of hands-on design ones that are smaller. Both of my Miras are on here, Lady of Mystery and the Trick or Treat Fairy. Which is funny, I think she's actually called the Halloween Fairy, but there's a different Halloween Fairy. So, and this one, she may be a fairy, but she doesn't have wings. She just has a little cute sign that says Trick or Treat. I know you've all seen it. Anyway, I'm really excited about the 2026 plans. I'm excited to stitch what I have. I'm going to try to focus more on that and less on the acquiring of very cute things. So designers, if you could settle your britches a little bit, that would be great. You're all very talented and I have a hard time resisting. So calm down a little bit. You don't have to be so brilliant every single day of your life. So those are the plans. now I want to tell you about my big celebration, and if you are sensitive to talking about weight or body things, skip, totally fine. Go to the end, just like scroll it until you see pictures of cross stitch, and then you're totally fine. No offense taken. It is not for everybody. I totally understand. So I am so proud and really don't believe it, to be really honest, to tell you that I have lost 100 pounds in the last 2 years. So I have spent my entire life obese. Really since when I got married in 2007, that's the last time I was where I am right now. And I could say it was babies, I could say it was hormones, I can say it was life. It was definitely some Oreos. Life happens, right? And our bodies do what they do. And I've had a lifetime of struggling to lose weight and gaining weight instead. And, it's the same story a lot of people have. So 2 years ago, when I had my little baby, she was almost 1 at the time. She was 1 year and 1 week old when we realized that she had a severe tongue and latch tie. And that year leading up to it, with my very last baby, who was a miracle on her own, was very hard. I struggled with postpartum anxiety, and we did not get a lot of sleep because she would eat every 40 minutes to 2 hours. And her pediatrician, I have 5 kids. And I made 3 of them. I came in crying all the time. Something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And she was like, oh, I think you just have anxiety. Well, we were at a dentist appointment, and the dentist said, do you know she has a really severe lip tie? And I was like, I kind of wondered about it, but her pediatrician wasn't concerned. And she goes, no, she's got a severe lip tie. She can't flare her lip at all. And her little tongue, she couldn't even get it out of her mouth. It was so severe, and it was very, very deep in the back. So they released that, and that was okay. But I was not in a good place mentally 2 years ago. I did take medication that helped, and I also did therapy, and that helped so much. But it was a struggle, and it was work, and it was intentional, struggly work. So and one of the things that is frequently a symptom of anxiety and depression is my weight just was completely out of control. I had a very unsupportive doctor at the time and ended up switching and found a lovely, incredible naturopath doctor who I am obsessed with. She's wonderful. She's one of the best medical professionals I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen a few of them, whether my case or my late husband's case. I've seen some good doctors, and I've seen some bad ones. And she is at the top of the list for the good ones. Anyway, I started trying to lose weight, just, using my MyFitnessPal, counting calories, walking, things like that, just doing small things that I could manage at the time with the mental state that I had at the time. We weaned her pretty quickly. Once she had that tongue release, she was able to drink from a bottle. She wasn't able to drink from a bottle before then. She couldn't get her tongue to the top of her mouth. So we weaned her. I weaned her. And I started a GLP-1 in the middle of November 13th or 14th, I think is my date. And from there, my life changed. I lost weight at a pretty reasonable rate for most of the time. I really struggled with I was on semaglutide for about 1.5 years, which is the same as Ozempic and Wegovy. I had a hard time with that one. I never was really able to get up there in dose. The highest dose I ever got to was 1 milligram per week. If you are familiar with this medication at all, that's the 3rd titrate. Most people are up there at 3 months. It made me very nauseous, and I had a lot of GI side effects, but it was effective and it was working. And then I kind of plateaued for 4 months. And so we decided to switch to tirzepatide, which is the same as Zepbound and Mounjaro. But it's a compound version. So my doctor prescribes it, and I go get it from a compound pharmacy. It has changed my entire life. That's really what I wanted to share with you. it has opened up a world that I didn't know was accessible to me. As far as not having that food noise and not having the side effects of life, of ADHD, of PCOS, of hormone imbalances, of insulin resistance, of being a 40-ish-year-old woman flirting with perimenopause. Like it definitely has improved my body in ways that are not visible, as well as in ways that are. And so now that I've rambled on and on and on and on to you about that, I know that's not stitching related. I'm just incredibly proud of it. And I'm very grateful for the journey that I've been on. I can't put into simple words how blown away I am by the changes that I've made in my life. I may include like just a little slideshow, like a little before and after, because I really don't like sitting here. My body feels like my body. My body feels the way it's always felt. It moves the way I think it's always moved. It holds my babies the way that I've always held them. And I'm very grateful to it for giving me the life that I have. It also is healing from the inside out. And many of the health issues that I had, I don't have anymore. This is supposed to be a lifetime medication for me personally. Your mileage may vary, but my doctor has said you have these specific health issues. And if you stop taking this medicine that's helping those health issues, these ones will come back. It's not a matter of food and being overweight. It's a matter of having a hormone imbalance and having these other things that this guy over here is fixing. So that being said, I'd probably be on it for as long as I can manage it. It'd be nice if I can get my insurance to cover it. We're working on that right now. But yeah, I wanted to share it with my community because it's been a huge, but also kind of quiet part of my life. I don't talk about it a whole lot because it's very sensitive, and everyone is where they want to be with their own health journey. Whether you are where I started and you're totally happy with it and that is your jam, excellent. Or if you are like me and have struggled and you're trying to say, I'm grateful to my body, but also I'm really frustrated by it. Wow, has it been just miraculous for me? I'm really grateful to the creators of this medication and the advocates for it who are really doing a lot of research to find out all of the multitude of health issues that this helps with. And so if you've heard things about it and you're like, oh, that's just the easy way out, I assure you it's not. I assure you it's not. The 40 years leading up to this, we'll just say like 28 years, okay? We'll go back to when I was a teenager. Leading up to this and the lifetime of unhealthy food relationship and the 2000s of, the super low cut down to your pelvis skinny pants and the commentary growing up my whole life, family members, parents would say, are you really going to eat that? Are you really going to? Do you really need that? How about have a salad? All of those voices, everything led me to here, to right now, where I have to find a healthy way to work through so much trauma and so much dysfunction in order to come out on a more beautiful, better side of things and be proud and try to be a good example for my kids and try to help them develop a healthy relationship with their bodies as they grow through awkward times. I've got 3 teenagers. And their friends and their criticisms and their voices that they have, I'm trying to set them up a little differently than we were set up. Many of us millennials were set up. I'm so grateful for that opportunity, by the way. Like, it's work, but it's good work. It's good, honest work, trying to be a better echo in the voices of our next generation. Oh, can you I know our world is like burning and crashing down all around us. However, can you just take a second and appreciate what we get to contribute into that world? What these kids' inner voices are not going to be the ones that we grew up with. They're not going to be the ones our boomer parents grew up with. They're not going to be the ones their parents grew up with. We get to change the dialogue. And I think that's incredibly powerful and should not be underestimated. My soapbox for the day. Say nice things to young people. Truly. They need it desperately. They have more pressure on them than we ever had. Everything they do is filmed. Everything they do is recorded. Everything they do is surveilled and tested for. Every single step that they make is criticized. And like, we got to disappear and go play in a ditch all day until the street lights came on. Like, we were not being monitored 110% of the time like they are. Find a young person and say something. I got cut off there for a second. My phone was like, step off your soapbox. Anyway, all of this to say, I am celebrating losing 100 pounds. I am celebrating taking my life back. I also had a birthday. EA 42. That was this last weekend. I had a chocolate cake and a day of stitching and my beautiful family around me. It was fabulous. So that said, the giveaway portion, which I think I still can't officially announce. I don't know what the rules are on here, but I am giving away 4 $25 gift cards. I haven't figured out my criteria yet, but the 4 vendors, shops that I am giving away for are 4 of my favorites. So I will be giving away a $25 digital gift card to Fibrelicious, a $25 digital gift card to Under the Sea Fabrics, the same for Bestitch Me, and then the last one will be to Fat Quarter Shop. These will go to 4 different people. You must be an adult. And I would ask that you just comment with something you're proud of yourself for. And if you're having a rough day and can't think of something, that's okay. Tell me something you're proud of someone that you love. That's totally fine. Just tell me something good in your life. Because I think that we need to celebrate our milestones, and I think we need to celebrate our everyday moments as well. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of crazy going on right now. There's a lot of good going on right now too. There's good people. There are dear friends. There are wonderful vendors and shop owners and designers and creators. There are good voices. There's good influences. There are friendly people when you check out at the grocery store. Don't underestimate that. Don't let the noisiness of the bigger, louder things overshadow the amazing things that can empower us in so many ways every day. So I hope I took you on a journey and you're not like emotional, but also not bored. I can go on tangents, that's for sure. ADHD superpower. So let me attach to this some progress photos. Again, feel free to scroll through if that's not your jam. That's totally okay. It's my journey. It doesn't have to be part of your day, and that's all right. Please comment. Tell me something that you're proud of yourself, of someone you love, something good that happened in your life that you were just glad happened. And I will also attach a little whip parade, things that I've been working on since last time we chatted. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for taking me as I come, because otherwise you wouldn't have seen me this month, because somehow I can't manage to get the hair washing and drying and house cleaned and quiet children all at the exact same time. So this is what you have today, and I hope it was good. Happy stitching. Hopefully I will chat again before Thanksgiving, but we'll see how that goes. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.